Hello?
Hello, this is your Pedro. Forgive me, Loretta, querida mia, for those very bad things I told you last week.
Why, sure.
Perhaps if you meet me tonight under the enchilada tree, I will fix things up pretty quick.
Okay.
I think.
Hello?
Ked me la falce, Loretta, me darling. I know I was terrible mean to you last night.
Why, sure.
Won't you be after having a cup of tea with me this evening, so I'll have a chance to set myself right?
Okay.
That'll be fine.
Hello?
Oh, are you there? I say, this is Reggie. Look here, old thing, I'm terribly sorry for all those perfectly ghastly things I said to you the other day.
Oh, not at all.
Well, if you'll meet me at the usual spot in Piccadilly, I'll make everything, as those quaint Americans say, okay?
Righto.
Good.
Hello?
Loretta, oh Loretta, is it really you, Loretta?
I'd better tell the truth, I guess. So let me tell you, mister, if you want to date Loretta's baby sister, says yes.
With 1,000 little stars, we can decorate the ceiling with an optimistic feeling. We can build a little home. Every single little dream is a shingle or a rafter. We can paint the house with laughter when we build a little home. It's not a palace nor a poorhouse, but the rent is absolutely free. This is my house, but it's your house if you'll come and live with me, with a carpet on the floor made of buttercups and clover. All our troubles will be over when we build a little home.
I got a little gal who dresses very well, dresses very well, dresses very well. I watched her once so I can tell. Tell me, ain't you coming out tonight? Ain't you coming out tonight? Coming out tonight, coming out tonight. Ain't you coming out tonight to dance by the light of the moon? Got a little gal whose father got a fright, father got a fright, father got a fright. He's had it ever since his wedding night. Tell me, ain't you coming out tonight? Oh, ain't you coming out tonight? Coming out tonight, coming out tonight. Ain't you coming out tonight to dance by the light of the moon? I got a little gal who sits on my knees, sits on my knees, sits on my knees. We'll leave it at that. No questions, please. Tell me, ain't you coming out tonight? Took my little gal down the railroad track, the railroad track, the railroad track. I stole a little kiss, but she made me put it back. Tell me, ain't you coming out tonight? Ain't you coming out tonight? Coming out tonight, coming out tonight. Ain't you coming out tonight to dance by the light of the moon?
Tell me, haven't I met you somewhere else?
There we go. Hey, everyone. No, Shane is going to be watching, or maybe not watching. Don't watch me, Shane. Oh, my goodness. No, Shane had a very long day, and so she is going to be upstairs relaxing, hopefully, and everything. So you have just me today. Sorry, or I don't know how you. It's just me. Shane might be in the chat a little bit, possibly. So, hi, Heather, and nobody. Let me see who's all here. Uni Magic Stephanie's here. Hello, Stephanie. Thanks for coming. Shane is here somewhere. Yes, I decided to play some music, which I thought would be, a little bit different. I found out we could play like YouTube music on. I hope we can. I'll see if I get a copyright. But so that's what I was thinking. So hello, Tex-Mex. Right, old music from the cartoons. Yes. Hi, Allie. How are you doing? And we have Linda. Hello, Linda. And we have MJ. Hey, MJ. Well, thank you all for coming to my live chit chat tonight. Fantastic. So I'm going to be sharing with you some information that I have gathered about porcelain. I do like porcelain quite a lot. You know how I am trying to bring Lennox back. I think I'm going to change my glasses. I think make me look more studious with my. Oh yes, that's much better. Ready to learn. Okay, well I hope I have some good information to bring to you. Okay, so I am not selling tonight. Just to put it out there, I am not selling anything. The items that I'll be showing are from my own personal collection that I have collected. My mom has collected over the years. So that's what I'm showing tonight. Anything on the bottom shelf is from my personal collection. So you all know I like porcelain. I like Lennox. We're bringing Lennox back. That is a Lennox piece right there. I'm not going to talk about Lennox tonight, which is weird. You would think that I'd be doing porcelain and I would be talking about Lennox. Maybe another time. Maybe another, if this goes well. And hello, just me. I like that, MJ. I just saw that. If it goes well, maybe I'll continue because there's a lot of porcelain companies out there. And as I started to read this book, and this is what I got an idea to do porcelain, and then I found this book, which is Limoges Porcelain. Hey, Jen Fizz, thanks for coming in. Thank you very much. I purchased this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. So this is a book about snuff boxes, from snuff to sentiments. And I thought it's really cool. I haven't gone all the way through it. I looked at some of these pictures, and some of these boxes are just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And hey, Hazel, thanks for joining in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So some of these little boxes that we're calling trinket boxes were probably actually snuff boxes. Hey, Touche Van. I see blue behind you. Got blue basket. Oh, you got your blue basket today. That's great. Yes, everyone should be getting their stuff. I did send out some things today. So you should be getting them by the end of the week. So yeah, if you see these little boxes that are hinged and have like gold around them and are really nicely decorated, they are most likely, and if they're old enough, I guess you could say, let me find another good picture. Now I can't find a good picture of anything. They are most likely snuff boxes, or were snuff boxes way back in the day. So just like stuff like that. Hashtag Moby. Hey, Steve. I don't have a hashtag today. I'm not selling today. For those of you who are just popping in, we are not doing a sale today. This is just a chit chat about porcelain. So please join in if you have anything to say or you need to correct me. Please join in because I will not mind. So I could do a whole series on these snuff boxes because they're actually pretty cool. Here's a lot with animals on it. So yeah, so that's what intrigued me as well to start looking at this. Oh, this is a beautiful one. That is gorgeous. So some of these little boxes that we've been selling, or other resellers have been selling, they could most likely be snuff boxes, which is pretty interesting. I think that's pretty interesting. So, and you can definitely use them as a trinket box, and I think eventually they went from snuff boxes to trinket boxes as they moved further along. But that being said, how do I start? So I'm probably going to be looking down a lot. I do apologize for that. I do have some things on my screen that I will be sharing. So just bear with me a little bit, and I will try to talk slowly so I get all the words out. Can everyone hear me okay? Is the volume good? That way you can hear me. Okay, so let's get into porcelain. All right, in the beginning, hey KP, thanks for joining, just in time. In the beginning, I'm going to give you a timeline of porcelain real quick, just to go, the volume's fine. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. So porcelain started back in Asia, in China time. So in 620 AD, during the Tang Dynasty, Chinese began making hard paste porcelain. So there's actually three different. You're watching on your treadmill, okay? There's actually three different types of porcelain. There's hard paste, soft paste, and bone china. And so that's what I'm going to kind of go into. So what I'm going to kind of dive into today is a little bit about how porcelain came about in China, and then talk about Delft China and a little bit of German porcelain, Delft porcelain, pottery, German porcelain, and then Irish porcelain. So that's kind of where I'm going tonight. So, because we can go into France and Limoges and all that, and Nataki. You know, there's a whole lot that we can go into. So I am just going to dive into that and see how I do. Because I had to narrow it down a little bit because there's a lot. Okay, so it started during the Tang Dynasty, and then in the 1100s, European traders first began bringing porcelain to Europe. And then in 1296, Marco Polo returns to Italy after his trip to China, and he brought back large quantities of porcelain to Italy. So Marco Polo is actually the one who opened up the trade between the East and the West, and on a much grander scale. You might have all knew that he was an explorer, but also he was in trade. So from all over Europe, craftsmen were scurrying to copy the unique characteristics of the precious material from the Far East they simply referred to as China, which we now know as porcelain, or we still call it China, but it was porcelain. So in the beginning, it was mostly the rich and powerful that had porcelain from China. A lot of the first pieces were just tableware, like your plates, your dessert plates, your bowls, your how many plates they had to have. They had to have a plate for everything. They probably had a fork and spoon for everything as well. How many table settings do you need? So they had that was a lot of the first people was the tableware, because they were rich and everyone wanted to put out their best stuff for their guests. You've seen the movies and the shows, back in European times and everything. I mean, their table settings were magnificent with this every piece they owned. And they had different courses. Thank you, Shane. See, she's chiming in here. They had different courses. That's right. I mean, how many courses did they have? You had a whole fish course, I think it was. And I saw that one movie had a total fish course, and it was, I don't know. I can't even. We could do probably a whole thing about the different courses and dinners that they had, back in European times. There was a lot, and you had to have a plate and a fork and a knife and a spoon for each of those. You had for each of those you had a different table setting. So of course they wanted to put it all out there, and they wanted to have the best for their guests, because that's the time that people just wanted to show what they had and show their wealth off so much. And porcelain was a new thing, especially for Europe, because it was mostly in China for the longest time. So when they started bringing the trade over, when Marco Polo started bringing the trade over and started opening up, that's what set it all off, and everyone just had to have it. So, what sets porcelain apart from other types of ceramics? It is the luminosity of the items. So, unlike the heavier, thicker ceramics made by the Europeans, you have like your ironstone and stuff like that. Chinese porcelain had a lightness and a transparency that really made it stand out, and you can see that. So, like this one here, this is Japan. This is a regular teacup, but you can see if you held this up to the light, like right there, you can sort of see it. You can see, you'd be able to see my finger somehow. There, you can see my finger through the china. So, through the porcelain. So that's how you know that this is actually the china porcelain, because it's very transparent and you can see right through it. See my hand. How many fingers am I showing up? See that? So the Chinese remained the undisrupted master of porcelain, manufacturing for centuries and centuries. So during the Ming Dynasty, which was from 1368 to 1644, that was the high point of porcelain artistry, including the famous blue and white underglaze. We all know the blue and white underglaze from, the Shinwari. There you go. I said it right, Shane. We all know that Asian style. So that's one. So one of the largest importers of Chinese porcelain was actually the Dutch East Indian Company, which was granted a monopoly by the Dutch government to import goods from Asia to the Netherlands. So the Dutch really got into purchasing porcelain from China. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The Dutch loved porcelain themselves, and their favorite pattern was the blue and white motif, which is right here. The blue and white. Which made its first appearance in China in 1279 and would dominate the Chinese export market by the 16th and 17th century. Okay. So the Dutch loved the porcelain objects so much that they included still life. They were included in a lot of their still life paintings. So they'd have a vase or a little box of some sort. They would always have it in their portraits that were being done. But they also provide the biggest form of flattery with imitation. So in Delft, Holland, which that's from, in Delft, Holland ceramics created two-tone earthenware inspired by the Chinese. So the Delft porcelain, or the Delft ceramics, if you want to call it ceramics or porcelain, they loved the Chinese black and white, blue and white so much that they wanted to imitate it. They wanted to imitate it so much because they loved it. They couldn't get enough. They couldn't get enough of it. However, the Dutch porcelain lacked not only the technical skills of the Far East, but the raw material. So the Chinese had a secret. The ancient Chinese secret. Wasn't that a commercial? What commercial was that? Ancient Chinese secret. That was a commercial back. I remember seeing that commercial when we were watching the Brady Bunch. Do you remember that commercial, Shane? Ancient Chinese secret. Well, the Chinese really did have a secret. And their secret was laundry detergent, yes. But that's not you do, right? You remember that ancient Chinese secret? Well, so the Chinese did have a secret, and this. Hold on one second. Let me just check something here. So, but the Dutch couldn't imitate it because they didn't have or didn't know what that secret ingredient was. So the Delft craftsmen used a lead glaze made with white and opaque materials with the addition of tin oxide to a lightly fired earthenware. So they would get the clay. Hi, Pauline from Wisconsin. Thank you so much for joining us. So they would make the clay and then they would lightly fire it, which they then decorated with a metallic oxide of cobalt. Now, cobalt is a mineral in the earth. It's a blue stone that I guess you can break it down, and that's how they would get this blue color. So they would have the clay, and then they would use a more tin oxide to make this color, because they couldn't. If you look at how shiny this cup is compared to the dullness of the plate, okay, that's the difference there, and I'll explain that in a minute, the different ways. So this blue is actually cobalt blue. You know, we have the blues of in the vases and stuff, the cobalt glass. They made that somehow into the pattern or into the clay, and that's what they did. So this is actually not a porcelain. This is a type of tin glaze earthenware called faience. So it's F-A-I-E-N-C-E. So this is not true porcelain. This is called faience, F-A-I-E-N-C-E. So it's a tin glazed earthenware. Also known as soft paste or artificial porcelain. And has a more porous texture and grainy, and it gets stained from use very easily. So most or almost all of Delft ware that you see is made of a soft paste or artificial porcelain. In contrast to, what China used, let's put that back. So what China used was called a hard paste porcelain, is what they created. So you have your hard paste, your soft paste, and then you have your bone china. And I'll explain the third one a little bit later. So what is the secret? So the missing ingredient is what the difference is between the soft paste and the hard paste. So the missing ingredient is what the Chinese is. It is a material called kaolin, Kaolin. So the missing ingredient was kaolin. It is a white infused clay that is syndicated of aluminum. So it's made of aluminum, which creates the so-called hard paste porcelain. So without kaolin, Europeans were forced to make the soft paste or artificial porcelain that was more like glass. So that was the difference. So let's review that real quick. So the Chinese had the porcelain that we all kind of know as China. Okay, whatever you call China is the hard paste porcelain you refer to from the Chinese. So the porcelain is called, the true porcelain is the hard paste porcelain. That is the true porcelain or natural porcelain. And it was discovered by the Chinese, and it is a white clay mined from the earth mixed with, now this is where I'm going to have to pause a second to try to pronounce these words. So it's a white clay. So kaolin is the white clay mined from the earth, and then it's mixed with pentunce, Petunse, meaning China stone, and quartz. They mix that together under a high firing, and that's what creates porcelain. So it's just 3 ingredients, 3 stones. You have the kaolin clay, you have the prudence or pentance, pentance, pentunse. And then you have quartz. So you mix that together. I do not want an update going on right now. So you mix that together, and that's what creates the hard paste porcelain. And that's what the Chinese used, or in the Asian culture, that's what they use to, oh, shoot. Hold on. There you go. Sorry, something popped up on my screen. So that's what they use. That's what the Chinese and Asian use to make their porcelain. So this is an example. This is Japan. I'm sorry, I couldn't find any Chinese porcelain. But so this is from Japan, and this is China, which you would probably call, but it's porcelain. So you can see how white it is, and you can see how translucent it is. Hey, Selena, welcome in. So that is the difference there, that you can see through it. Well, I don't know how much you can see through the saucer, but with the cup, you can definitely see through it. So that's an example of the hard paste porcelain that the Chinese, Japanese, Asian countries used for a very long time. Okay, so then you have the soft paste porcelain, which was used more by the Europeans because they couldn't find the kaolin in their soil. You had to have it in your soil to mine it and to bring it out, and they didn't have that. So they thought, okay, why is this is happening? Sorry, my screen's going a little cuckoo. I hope you guys can still see me okay. So the soft paste, or faience or faience, whatever, faience is more the French word for it, was a soft paste porcelain, which was a white tin based. So Delft is a kind of faience porcelain. It's with a lead glaze made of white and opaque, which then, with the addition of tin oxide to lightly fire earthenware, and then was they decorated with a metallic oxide of cobalt. So that's soft paste. So example of soft paste would be, the plate. So this is also Delft. So this will also be a soft plate paste porcelain. So this is Delft, blue Delft, hand painted, made in Holland. So you could see how dense it is, and how creamy it is. It's not pure white. It's got that creaminess to it. So it's not, your blue and white. And even like the blue and white, if you go back to the Shinwari, which is the Asian style of blue and white, you can see how white that is. So if you compared, I don't know if we have, Shane, do we have anything that is Shinwari around? Hold on one second. Let me just check something. Hold on one moment. It wouldn't be a show without me leaving. It wouldn't be a show without me getting up and walking around, now would it? Oh, she said, hold on. Okay, good. So I just want to show you that because it's very interesting, because everyone considers this the blue and white. The Delft is blue and white, yes. But it's really Delft blue. It's not considered blue and white, the blue and white pattern. That's the more Shinwari. And if she finds an example, I'll show you in a minute, because that is very, I'm selling some of that tonight. Okay, cool, Selena. That's cool. So you'll see how the difference between how creamy this is and how white the other one is. That's actually China, because this is soft paste, which is the fake porcelain, and then the Chinese, which is the hard paste, which is the true natural porcelain. Excuse me. So we'll see if she brings that down in a second. Oh, here she is.
I sold all mine.
Are you sold all yours?
Yeah, but that could be sort of later. I'm like, I sold all mine.
So yeah, this is all falling out though. This plant.
Careful, it's just water. There's water in it. It's one of my water plants.
Okay. All right. I don't know if this is really it.
I don't know if it is either.
I mean, can you see a little bit how this is more white, and then this is a creamer. You can sort of see it. Hey, Linda, welcome in, and thanks for joining us. So if you can see a little bit how white this one is compared to the creaminess of that. All right. Well, thank you for bringing that.
You're welcome. I'm in my pajamas, folks. Sorry.
I should have thought about doing that. But.
Yeah, it's all I have left for you. Our blue and white sale, it all went.
Yeah, I seriously, we don't have anything.
Well, this is more.
Yes, but that's bone china. It's different.
It's different. Yeah.
It's different. That's what you're going to learn in a minute.
Yeah, it is different though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for. I think that showed a good.
Bye, everybody. See you in the chat.
Yeah, I'm glad you're in the chat. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so you can sort of see how that, which is the Asian Shinzwari pattern, which is the blue and white, you all see it everywhere. It's very modern now. It's all over the place. You can see how white that is compared to the Delft china, the Delft porcelain, which is duller. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So then the third porcelain is called bone china. Now the jug was made in Delft. Yes. Oh, and red as well. Okay. Yes, please chime in. Chime in if you have anything to add to what I'm saying. Please definitely chime in. I don't know too much about Delft red, Linda. That would be something I would have to look into. I'm not familiar with Delft red. So that's interesting that you bring that up. Laura just waved like she was. I do it all the time, Selena. I talk to the team. I'm like, can't you hear me? I'm talking to you. Okay, so let's move on. So bone china, which is a different type of porcelain. So bone china is a technique created by the English in the 1750s. Is basically made by adding bone ash or burned animal bone to the porcelain mixture, greatly increasing the translucence of the finished product. Therefore, it's not hard as hard paste porcelain, but more durable than soft paste. So today, England remains the world's largest producer of bone china. So I do have one example of bone china, or I have two. What's this one? No, that's German. And this is bone china. Okay, so I have two. Okay, so this is Ireland, this is England. So this is an example of bone china. So it is very white because they were adding it to regular porcelain. Okay, they were just adding the bone ash to the porcelain. What exactly that does? It says it makes it more translucent. I guess yes, it is. I mean, I can see it. So yes, it does. Like if you look in this one, you can see my finger sort of through it. So it's not as translucent as the traditional hard paste China porcelain. Okay, this is very translucent, and even like when you get into like Nippon, it's like paper thin, the porcelain. Okay, that's because it's a harder paste porcelain. Where in England, like where this is from, this is Royal Albert, the bone china is porcelain, but they added ash to it. So it made it more delicate, because if not, then you had a really hard, looking porcelain. Hang on, I'll get something. So you got a more hard looking porcelain, like the ironstone. So this is ironstone. So see how dense this is and how thick that is. So when you look at that compared to the bone china, which is still, this is England too. You can see that this is more translucent because they added the ash to it. So that would be the difference between ironstone, which is a very heavy, dense porcelain, because they didn't have the kaolin or anything to make it more translucent. They just had the normal clay. So this is a more soft paste, or iron, like ironstone. So I hope that, is this all making sense? I hope it's making sense. I hope it's making sense. The ironstone stains and crazy because it's a soft paste porcelain. It's not a true porcelain. I think Selena, you came in a little late. So soft paste porcelain is not a true porcelain. So like the ironstone and the Delft pottery or porcelain, it stains because it's called a soft paste porcelain. So it stains and it I'll go back to my notes. It's more porous is what it is, because it doesn't have the secret ingredient of kaolin, which is what the Chinese had in their porcelain. It absorbs, yes, it absorbs. You need to find more soft paste porcelain. So yeah, you want to look more at like the Europeans, like English porcelain. That's why a lot of the bowls are very stained, because if it's from England, it's probably an ironstone or bone china or something like that is more softer paste and absorbs more, and so you get the crazy and you get the stains and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what it all does. Okay, let's move on here to, where are we at? Okay, so that is we did the missing ingredient. Yeah, so I think we covered. So in contrast, hard paste porcelain tends to be whiter, finer, and tends to be shine more and look more polished when it's painted. Okay, and then we learned about kaolin. So without the kaolin, Europeans were forced to create a soft paste or artificial porcelain that is more like glass. Because it doesn't, right, the hard paste doesn't stain. Right, it doesn't stain. So, Germany then discovers kaolin. Oh my gosh. Around the 1700s, Germany discovers kaolin in Germany. So the secret's out, and they found it by accident. So it was discovered by an alchemist that was in prison. And the king, what was the king's name? King's name was, what was the king's name? I forget. I can't find it at the moment. Okay. So the king ordered him to make gold. That was his job as a prisoner. He was, and his name was Johann. I'll just say Johann because I can't pronounce as a Johann Fredericks. I'm almost gonna say Booger. This Bottger. So we'll just say Johann. That's because that is his first name, Johann. So Johann was in prison, and so the king ordered him to make gold. So he was mining and he was working with two other chemists who are working on minerals and exposing them to high temperatures. But instead of gold, they discovered how to make a hard paste porcelain, also the true porcelain or natural porcelain that was 100 years after China. This is 1,000 years after China. So 1,000 years later, Germany finally finds kaolin, the true porcelain. Just by this chemist, this prisoner Johann is working with these chemists, and they're mining some minerals, and they're putting them under high heat to like figure out how to make gold and silver. And all of a sudden, they make this white porcelain. It's a dark, mysterious secret of the exact date. You know, the Germans, they don't want to give out any secrets, you know. But in 1710, the first object made by European hard paste porcelain. And I don't know what it was, but I just know it was in 1710. So I don't know what exactly they made. So the legend has it that this multi-purpose natural resource was being used to powder wigs. So you know how they had the wigs and they powdered the wigs with that white stuff and, you know, whatever. That was some kind of natural resource that they were powdering over the wigs. So Johann one morning discovered that his wig was heavier than usual. So however way he found it, and that's all it says. It just says he discovered one morning when he found his wig to be heavier than usual. So he announced to the king, I guess it might have gotten wet. You know, if you're putting powder over the wigs, which could be like a powder clay, and then you add water to it, what's it going to do? We all took pottery at some point. You know, when you add water when you throw the clay and you add water to it, it gets softer and it starts to get heavier. Well, that's probably what happened is he left his wig out and it got a little damp, and then he found out how heavy it was. And lo and behold, he finds the secret ingredient that China has had for the last 1,000 years. So on March 20th, 1709, the prisoner Johann announced to the king he made the porcelain, and he just happened to be in prison in the fortress of Meissen. Hence, Meissen porcelain was born. So they made, where he was in prison was a fort, and it was in Meissen. So the Meissen Royal Manufacturer Company was discovered. So Germany started making porcelain with, you go, Johann. Oh, hey, Rev, thanks for joining. So that's how it was. And he just happened to be in prison at the Meissen fort, and they made it into the factory. So the success of Meissen factory was rapid. Collectors immediately recognized that the high quality of the Meissen porcelain, and it quickly dampened the Chinese market. From that moment on, China would no longer set the standard, but it would continue to provide a strong design influence. So the design influence never went away. So we still get design influence from China's porcelain and China art all the time. But by the 18th century, Meissen became the leading European factory. So let me show you. So this is not Meissen. I wish I had some Meissen. This is Bavaria. So it is translucent, but you can see how beautifully white it is. It's really nicely white. So this is a porcelain. It's from Leftman something, Bavaria, Germany. So I wish I had some Meissen to show you, but unfortunately I don't have anything in my this is all my personal collection, and I don't even have any of it to sell. I looked so in the shop, so you can see that now Germany has accomplished the white porcelain that the Chinese have had as well. So this is Germany, and this is China. So you can see now they both have that beautiful white texture, very glossy, and not as, I would say this one, it is translucent, so they did get the translucency down. And this just might be a poor example. If I had mice in it, it might be a little bit different. But as you can see, that now Germany now has just the best, as much, if not the best quality of porcelain that China has had for decades. Okay, so that is Germany. So what about France? But France, poor France, and other European countries, they had no choice but to use the soft paste porcelain, or known as faience. Importing kaolin from Germany and China was out of the question. It was too costly, and the Germans would not part with it. They did not want to share. Hi, Martinza. How you doing? They didn't want to share. The Germans did not want to share, so you could not buy it from the Germans at all. They wanted it for themselves. But France said, hey, no sweat. We have our own pottery makers, and we have our own skills and our own secrets and processes and skills. We can move on. We don't need your kaolin. So in France, they considered their porcelain pieces more of a work of art, and they were never produced in batches. And they had a more distinctive mark, a more distinctive look. And French pottery makers often copied the Oriental porcelain, and the result was made into the chinoiserie pattern, which we see all the time. So what else do I have to say about France? Let me see. I have some. I mark some of this down here. Hold on 1 second. I got to get to my book. Oh, here it is. So, Limoges. I'm just going to go into a little bit about Limoges. But Limoges was a little town known for their red tiles. See the red tiles on the houses? So, in the Middle Ages, Limoges was a small little town. It was a stop for pilgrims on their way to the Spanish shrine. And it was during that period that Limoges was doing enamels. So at that time, Limoges was more doing enamels. And they were famous for that. Then by the Renaissance, they transferred into silver, and they became a more commercially centered, right? So because more and more people came to visit them, and they were known as La Ville Rouge, you know, like the rouge on my face, or the red tiles of its roofs. So hard paste porcelain factories quickly sprang up in Paris, and they finally did discover the kaolin in France, or in France. So, but Limoges is a town. Just to let you know, Limoges is a town. So it's not just the company name. It's also a town in France. And the king or whoever was in charge of Limoges at that point, they started expanding because more and more people started coming because their enamel was getting very popular. So they established their first hard paste porcelain factory in 1771. Okay. And then they had a lot of firewood. So although hard paste porcelain factories quickly sprang up in Paris, shortly after the discovery of kaolin in France, Limoges was only a rural city. But they had a lot of advantages because they had forests nearby and they could float them down the Vienna and they used the fire to heat the huge porcelain kilns. So what Limoges had that set them apart from other porcelain companies is they had very skilled artistic people, artisans. So that's how they became known for their porcelain because of how pretty it is. And you can see that today. I mean, how pretty is Limoges porcelain? And unfortunately, I don't have an example, but I can show you in this book because this is a whole book on Limoges. So you can see here how pretty the paintings are done on the porcelain boxes. I mean, they're just gorgeous. I mean, you've seen people sell Limoges. You can tell. Where am I at? Sorry, I just lost my page. I lost my page. See, like this picture here. I mean, that's a perfect example of Limoges porcelain. It's just absolutely gorgeous with the painting and all hand painted and everything. So it's just absolutely gorgeous. So they began their first workshop in 1771. That is because they got in here a little bit late in the game. Do I have anything else? So that's kind of all I had on Limoges. Again, this book that's as far as I got. I didn't get any farther than that. But the point was that the French finally caught on or were able to find the kaolin in the earth. There's a dog crying. It stopped. Okay, sorry. Someone's dog was crying. So that's what the point I just wanted to bring up with Limoges. I mean, I could do a whole night on Limoges, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll look more into Limoges and have a whole night of Limoges porcelain and have examples of it in person. So that's. But my point with France is that they finally did catch on. Now let me just show you. So this I have to share it. Hold on. Sorry, I clicked off of that. I want to show this share screen, and we're going to do. Nope, not that. I have so many things open. Oh, this one here. Nope. There we go. So this is another example of the Delft blue of how pretty the blue was. And this was actually cobalt blue, which we all love in glassware. They did use cobalt. Sorry, the dog was crying. It's distracting me. Shane, do you hear that dog crying? Oh, it's not okay, but you hear that dog crying? Okay. I'm glad Shane's in the chat. So you can see how this is a really pretty blue color and just, really nicely done, and how more you're coming down. Okay, she's coming down. You can see how it's more creamier looking, and so that is an example of the soft paste blue. Okay, do I have anything else? This is blue. Okay. All right. So the next one I'm going to go over is Irish porcelain, and I have quite a bit on Irish porcelain. So I hope you guys like that first part about how it came about. So Ireland and Scotland and England are by themselves over there. So very early, Irish porcelain was made for more utilitarian purposes. They didn't make a lot of decorative, and we're talking like I have it up here. Hold on. We're talking about the Neolithic period, 45,000 to 2,500 BC. So we're talking like that.
I don't know. It's not our dogs.
Okay, that's good.
I don't hear it out there.
Okay, good. So that was when Irish porcelain first started, was with the Normans. And the Normans introduced the potter's wheel to Ireland in the 13th century. So that is basically when they started doing porcelain, way like really early. But they would make just like a bowl or a jug, very primitive looking. They just used it to store food in, and they used it with air dry or out in the sun. They didn't have any firing. They would maybe use a bonfire, put it next to the bonfire or something like that. But they didn't have kilns or anything like that. They just used air, the air to dry or the sun to dry it. So we all know Belique, so I'm going to give you a little bit of information because that is pretty much the very first Irish porcelain company was Belique. So that's when we get into it. But in 1849, John Caldwell Bloomfield inherited his father's estate in a small market town of Belique, or Belize, Belize, as it's pronounced, which means flagstone forge in Ireland. So the Irish famine was coming to an end. And so Bloomfield decided he wanted to provide his tenants with some form of living. He wanted to give his tenants a job because they've gone through the famine and they survived the famine. And now he's like, okay, now how do you spell the town? It's Beleek. So there is a town called Beleek in Ireland. So he wanted to provide his tenants with some sort of job. So, and to his fortune, his estate was rich with kaolin and fieldstone and flint, clay, and shay, the minerals necessary for clay. So he had all the materials, even including kaolin. They had it there on his estate. And they also were near a great water source that was capable of grinding those materials into a liquid form of clay that we know as slip. When you had the slip, to attach things with. So they had all the materials right there in the town of Beleek. And this man, John Caldwell Bloomfield, said, hey, I got the land, I got the people, let's do this. Let's do it. So in 1858, after a lot of planning and finding partners, Mrs. Bloomfield laid the foundation, the first foundation stone of the structure, and Beleek pottery was born. So they had a very successful start, and they added more employees and more skilled craftsmen, and they wanted to include more finer pieces because at that time they were just making everyday pieces, like they're making tiles and pedestals and washstands, that kind of stuff. So they wanted to get into more finer. They wanted to, bring it up a notch. So this meant using a porcelain called Parian. Okay, Parian is I'll spell it Parian. So Parian is a type of bisque porcelain that imitates marble. Okay, and it was developed around 1845 by Staffordshire pottery in England. And the great advantage of Parian is that it could be prepared in a liquid and cast into a mold. So here's an example of a Um, Stop screen. Share screen. Stop screen, share screen. Here is an example of a very early piece that is used with the Parian porcelain. So you see how intricate it is and how they could actually, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but they can pour it into a mold. So they can add this guy, I guess it's Neptune, to this vase to make a handle. And then all these flowers and stuff they can do this with. And I have an example here with me. This is an early piece of Balik porcelain that they probably used the Parian bis marble on to make these flowers. So they would pour these into a mold and then they would attach the flowers onto the porcelain. Isn't that beautiful? Now it does have a crack. It has a major chip there. But I have the pieces and I'm going to repair it because I love this piece. And now I actually did find this. Where is this piece now? So I actually found this piece, and this is actually a fairly early Balik pattern. So let me back up just a second here. So Balik's first attempts of using the Parian failed. But 2 years later, Staffordshire is in England. Staffordshire is in England. And that's where the Parian porcelain, or it's like a marble, was found in England. So after 2 years later and 7 years after construction of the pottery market, the company had a strong market in Ireland and was exporting pieces to England, US, Canada, and Australia. And even the Queen Victoria and the Prince of Wales made large orders from Balik. So, let me just find something. Click it off. So, so this is Balik. I did not know it until tonight because there's the mark inside. Now, the other thing I found out is that Balik has all of it's up to 15 marks, and they color coordinate all of their marks. So this one is green. So I'm going to show you. Where are you? Date your Balik. There we go. Share. So as you can see here, I don't have all of them, but you can see like they started with the black marks in 1863 to 1891. Then they went to, and it's a very, so this is an Irish wolfhound looking at the harp, and that dog has stayed on the Balik symbol throughout all of it. So this has the green mark, but it has the R. So it's actually this fifth mark. So this is from 1955 to 1965. So Balik is not that old of a company. It was around like late 1800s and then really took off in the 1900s with a lot of their material. But so that's where this is from. It's the fifth mark. And I believe it said they had 15 different marks. So this is the fifth mark out of 15. So I think that's pretty cool. So you can definitely look this up, and if you find anything with the black marks on it, that's very early Balik. And then the green is the fourth and fifth, and then you have this color, the sixth, and then some, and so on. So I think that's pretty cool. So I'm definitely going to repair this because I think this is really beautiful. And Irish porcelain is very thin. It's very thin because I basically just bumped this and it broke. So, okay. So there were several challenges, and deaths of the three owners, I think, all in a row. They had the wars, and they were rationing coal, and the drying out of exporting. They were switched to using lower temperatures in their kiln and produced utilitarian earthen pieces, and they managed to survive. This is all after the war. So they had both the wars. They were rationing coal, and there wasn't a lot of exports because it was too expensive. So they had to switch from using high temperature kilns because they couldn't get enough coal because they had to ration the coal. So they had to use lower temperatures. So lower temperatures gives you a little bit more. I'm losing my train of thought. It gives you more utility earthenware pieces, but they did manage to survive. Now the basket weave pattern, which I have up here. Nope, not that one. This one, yes, this one. Okay, let me share my screen again. Nope. Where are you? There it is. Share. So this basket weave pattern that you see here on the bottom, I'm sorry, I wish it was a little bit bigger. That is one of their standbys. Their mainstay was the basket weave pattern, and the shamrock design was their mainstay. And that was since 1880. So they've always had a basket weave pattern or a shamrock pattern in their arsenal for a very long time. Let me see if I can go. Nope, I don't want that one. I have so many things up. Where am I going with this? Okay. I want to try to find the shamrock. Bleak. Here we go. Okay. So this will give you both examples of it. Share my screen again. I'm getting really good at sharing my screen. Okay, so here you can see this is an example of Bleak pottery. It's a dinner plate in the shamrock. So this is the basket weave. I don't know. Can you guys see my cursor? Like, can you see where I'm pointing at? I don't know if you can see that. If you can see my cursor, I'm pointing to the basket weave pattern here, and then it has a shamrock. Unfortunately, I don't have that pattern. So that pattern right there, the basket weave pattern and then the shamrock pattern, that is Bleak's mainstay. So that is what they've always been known for. No, okay, you can't see the cursor. Okay, but you can see what I'm saying. Like, you can see the basket weave pattern on the outside of the plate and then the shamrocks. Okay, so after the wars, let me make my screen big again. There we go. So after the wars, new technology allowed the kilns to use coal again. So they began to use less coal. So the new technology. Hey, Joanne, how you doing? So they were able to go back to using coal because the war was over. They didn't have to ration the coal anymore. They were able to fire back up the kilns again. Woohoo! Let's fire those kilns up. At the same time, company began to produce more of the pattern and wear with greater emphasis and to be more successful. The old kilns could not keep up with this progress. So they developed in 1952, they went to electric kilns and installed, and they kept up the pace. So the paradigm in Ireland made a huge difference. So that is what Balik uses in their porcelain. It is a type of marble that they add to their clay to make their porcelain. And then this is another example of Irish porcelain. This is Donegal, China. This is Donegal, China, Irish Perrin. And as you can see, that's got a little bit of, I don't know if that's a basket weave or honeycomb texture on it, but this is very, very light. And I have this because it has a major, excuse me, I have my tea here. I've been drinking all night. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I was really thirsty. So this has a major crack here. And because Irish porcelain is so delicate, we decided not to sell this because we were afraid it would crack in shipping because it's got a pretty significant crack here. So, and we found out a few months ago that Donegal, Ireland, which is an actual town in Ireland, one of our great-grandfathers is from there. So lo and behold. And so the decorative taste started changing a little bit. And there was less interest in decorative and ornate paradigm wear in the 1970s. And we know what the 1970s were like, it was all like modern and, that whole 60s era, the 60s and 70s went a totally different route than this, but the company kept changing with the times. They kept changing. And by adding a visitor center in 1989, and then they were purchased by an investment company by a guy named George Moore, who was Irish born, and it was an American based company. So they kept changing. They just kept changing and trying different things. And now they're on QVC in March for St. Patrick's Day. And Balik now operates a group of decorative art and gift brands, including Galloway Irish Crystal, Ansley China, which we've had Ansley China on here before, and Donegal China. So this is now operated by Balik, which is pretty cool. So because this company is pretty old from what I saw about it. So I think that's it. That's the end. That's the end. So does anyone have any questions, or did you enjoy that? The chat was pretty quiet, but the numbers kind of stayed up. So I think you were all just listening, which is really cool that you were just listening. So, well, Shane says, well done. Thank you, Shane. So let me know in the comments if you guys liked it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you would like to see more of this kind of, you're listening to, okay, it's Captivate. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. And so you loved it. Thank you. That's really cool. I really enjoyed it, even though it took me most of the day to really research, because it's been a crazy summer, and I was at my orientation for my bus thing for most of the day yesterday, so I got hardly anything done, and I only had half of this information. So listening, hello, Miss Sarah, thank you for listening. Thank you so much. So I really did enjoy it. I think it came off very good. Thank you, Slim. It was amazing. That's very sweet of you guys. So I definitely would like to do this again, and maybe I'll dive into Limoges, because Limoges is a great porcelain company, and they do beautiful, beautiful work. Yes. So exactly. So I know we talk a lot about glass, and I could have definitely done stuff on glass, but I also like porcelain. I like English porcelain and Irish porcelain particularly, um, and the Delft. So I lean more towards the European porcelains, which is the softer paste porcelain, or was, but now Ireland uses the kaolin, or Balik does. So um, it was very interesting to learn about the different types of porcelain, because I did not know that. I thought all porcelain was the same, but it just depended on the manufacturer. But who knew it was actually the material that makes it more porous and more tends to stain and craze. So that was very interesting to me. So thank you everyone for watching. Definitely, if you have any comments, please put them in the chat. I would love to hear about it. And I think we kept about 14 to 17 people the whole time, and that's really awesome. So I definitely enjoyed myself. And yeah, I think I will definitely do this again at some point. If there's a subject that you guys would like to learn about, let me know, and I will definitely do some research on it. But maybe I will do a little bit on Limoges. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And definitely maybe a little history on Lennox, because this is a Lennox piece that will be coming up. And yeah, so Lennox definitely is really nice porcelain. So I would, and I don't know too much about Lennox porcelain besides that I like it and it's very nice and beautiful. So, and Limoges is also actually stunning in itself. So maybe a Lennox and Limoges, two different ends of the spectrum. Lennox and Limoges. There we go. Maybe that's what I'll do next time. Lennox and Limoges. You can do a show about McCoy. Oh, McCoy pot. Okay. You know what, Teresa? I don't know who makes Lennox besides Lennox. I really don't know. Never get the items that say made. I do once in a while get stuff that says occupied Japan. I know that is very old. I don't know much about it, Rev, other than it's probably, a very old porcelain. Oh, in Roseville, yeah. So that's another thing, that's more like 60s, 70s pottery. That might be kind of cool to do that, the Hall and McCoy and Roseville. Oh, yes. Oh, you're a potter and a sculptor. Oh, wow, Rev, that's so cool. Yes, McCoy and Hall are Shane's house. So maybe Shane can help me do a little research with that. So, yeah, that's something we could definitely look in. I think Lennox is definitely American. So it would be kind of cool to do a Lennox and Limoges in one night, American versus French. Lennox is the American king and Limoges is the French king, that kind of thing. So that might be kind of cool. And then maybe McCoy, Hall, and Roseville. That would be a very interesting thing. So, yeah, I will definitely look into doing something. I don't know how many times I'll be able to do it, but definitely maybe, every couple of months or so I could put something together. I'll have to see how my schedule goes once school starts. But I still have like the 4 hours and stuff and everything. Yes, Rev. My sister Shane, she majored in pottery in college, so that's why the Hall and the McCoy and the Roseville gravitate more to her. She likes the more basic. I shouldn't say basic, but that's Mexican. I don't have any Hall. We don't even have any Hall. Well, like this is Hall, but not, not the Hall you guys are talking about. But this is a Superior Hall. Hall Superior. This is like their kitchen stuff. And then I don't know what this is, but this is cute. But this is the kind of pottery like from McCoy and Roseville and another Hall or California pottery. This kind of stuff. I am a clay phenomenon. Oh, okay. That's cool, Rev. I did not know that about you. I'm trying to see what else. Do I have anything else? Oh, like this is more Shane's style. She likes the studio pottery. It looks like. Oh, really? We had a teapot that was like that. Yeah. So Shane likes. So you would like something like this, Rev, right? Like this is something you would do. Yes. This is more Shane's speed. She likes the studio pottery stuff. So this is Rev. Have you ever heard of Carl Kimball? Have you ever heard of Carl Kimball, Rev? I thought you were sorry. So, Rev, this is signed by a Paul Kimball, from 1985. Do you know him, or have you heard of him? Because we couldn't find too much about him. So, yeah. Carl is my wife. What? How did I never knew? It says Paul, not Carl. Or maybe it is Carl. I can't read it. No, it's Paul. Paul. Kimball. Nope. Okay. All righty. Just wondering. Okay. That goes there. All right. So, yeah. So that's some good suggestions about that. So, yeah. So thank you guys so much for coming. I really enjoyed it, and I think you guys did too. But please leave a comment if you can on your way out. Definitely give me a thumbs up as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys again. And so we are off the next week or so because school starts. We will not have a thrift haul this Sunday. We're going to be off for the rest of the week. I'm actually going to PA. And if y'all want to visit Pennsylvania in the fall, hey Bonnie, no problem. You can go back and rewatch it. Thank you. That'd be great. You're so welcome, Rev. Thank you for coming by. If anyone's interested in going on vacation in the fall, our Airbnb is in a beautiful section of Pennsylvania. And it's going to be a beautiful fall with lots. If you're a tree peeker, those tree peepers. The people that go and they go just for the fall colors. We're going to be running a special on our Airbnb. If you're interested, just send me an email and I'll let you know. But yeah. So that's where I'm going to be going tomorrow with my son. We're going to do some kayaking and some fishing and seeing how the place looks. I was a ton of Paul Kimball. It's 95 in Dallas. Well, Rev, go to Pennsylvania and be in the 80s and go look at some trees turning some oranges and browns and reds. So yeah, that's where I'm going next couple of days, just me and my son. Oh, I would enjoy a talk on Lenox and Ohio potteries. Okay, good. All right, that sounds like a plan. So I think I'll definitely do a Lenox and Limoges night. It's hard to do more than probably two, because especially with those two, that's going to be a lot of information. I'm definitely rewatching this friend. Don't apologize. Yes. So we're gonna have some time before our school is not even open yet. Our school opens next Tuesday, the 3rd. So we're not even back to school yet. I know you're probably all like a month in, and we haven't started yet. So next week our school starts up, and Shane and I both work for the school systems. So we're taking that week off. So our next live auction is actually going to be September 10th, and we got some more blue stuff. We got some more cobalt blue and some other good stuff. And we might do soon. I don't know about the 10th, but maybe the following Tuesday, we'll bring out all of our fall stuff. So we're going to do a Hello Fall auction. Hello Fall. Because we have lots of carnival glass and we got some fall stuff. So maybe not, I don't know, the 10th will do it. Maybe the 10th. I'm not sure yet. But within the next first 2 shows, we're going to have a Hello Fall sale where we'll have all of our fall stuff. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching. If you feel like sharing, share this out and show people that we do other things besides just selling. All right, have a good night, everyone, and take care and enjoy. And please go back and rewatch if you're just popping in or just catching the tail end of it. I would really love it if it got some really great views. And give me a thumbs up and a comment if you can on your way out. Thanks, you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the 10th of September. All right, bye-bye.